So on this particular day, we were doing crosswind landings and takeoffs and air work. The air was pretty turbulent throughout the day. We had gusts, I think, up to like 15 knots. I think at one point it actually picked up the wing while we were sitting here waiting, and I had to the flight instructor grabbed the stick and forced it over to the left to keep the left wing down while we waited for hookup. So you can kind of see the windsock there in the distance. It looks a little kind of flat, but earlier when we were pushing it out, you can see the windsock on the right is probably around 5 to 7 knots. And the wind is coming in from the left. So it's going to push us towards the right. So you'll see this as soon as we hook up and we begin to roll out here. You'll see how the tow plane will fight it, but I'm not doing the greatest job compensating for all of that. The glider was weather vaning, so there I am kind of pointing more towards the left where the air is pushing me. You can see how it's pushing the tow plane. So it ends up being a bumpy, fun flight.
When we get rolled out, tell me when to box the wake again.
Okay.
I'll demo the first half and you can do the second half.
Okay, boxing the wake is important because on tow, you can be in turbulent air and you can find yourself in different positions behind the tow plane. And as a pilot, you need to be competent to be comfortable in those different positions and then maneuver. So that's the whole point of the box the wake. It's also on the check ride with the FAA. So this is why we're practicing it. The flight instructor is demonstrating this first half, and then he's going to give me the flight controls to finish it.
Flight controls. Go down. Down there. Coming back over. And back up. Yes. Coming up on our release altitude. To your left, to your right, and rope away.
You want to start that turn as soon as
The rope is gone?
rope is confirmed away.
Okay.
You want to do it from an absolutely normal tow position.
So, was that a not normal?
Now, but a lot of people climb or descend in the process of thinking about it.
Okay. There he is.
Okay. Yeah, roll out. Flight control.
Gear controls.
Alright, so there's your 50 knots. Memorize where the horizon is relative to the yaw string.
Okay.
Alright, pick a point off. We'll go left instead. Off the left wing.
Okay.
On the horizon. Hard roll in. Hard roll out. Stabilize. Left wing. Go there. Roll out. Near the flight.
Okay, so I was just really impressed with what he did because he had so much command authority of the aircraft. And what he's going to have me do here is do 90-degree turns at a steep bank. And what this is actually going to do is this is going to increase my competence and confidence and my intuition in making the aircraft go and do what I needed to do. So I'm picking a 90-degree point off the right wingtip and then turning towards it. picking a point off to the right again and then turning to that, and then it's supposed to create kind of a 90 degree box with rounded edges. And this was really important because I was overthinking it because I was afraid of messing up, and he gave me a really good exercise to do.
Once you start thinking in terms of I want to go there instead of I want to move the stick so that the ailerons deflect and it rolls to the right while I feed in right rudder to counteract adverse yaw. You got to get past that.
Right. It's got to be instinctual.
Okay. Have you done slips lately?
Yes, but I still need to work on them.
Turn left.
Okay.
Parallel to ridge. So we're headed into the lane.
County traffic, Northern Jet 595, approaching Quebec intersection, be landing runway 27.
Pick up 55 knots. Typical pattern airspeed.
Okay.
Pick a point on the horizon.
Okay.
Straight ahead. Feed in rudder one direction and aileron the other direction. And the idea is the glider keeps going at the same point. The yaw string keeps going at that point. You hold the same pitch attitude. Eventually you're going to get to full rudder and as much aileron as you can.
Okay. Full aileron or full rudder?
And as much aileron as it takes to keep from turning. Come out. And we should still be at the same pitch attitude, same airspeed, just lost a lot of altitude.
Yes.
Alright, turn around, go the other way.
Alright.
So you're usually rudder limited. The airspeed usually goes away completely because the airflow is going sideways across the vehicle.
Okay.
But as long as you hold the same pitch attitude that was working for you with whatever spoiler setting you had before you went into it, you'll still be under control when you come out.
Okay.
Just do some, let's see, have you done turn to a heading?
Yes.
Right? Turn to a heading of 045.
045. 045. 045. I don't know which way that is. 045. Hold on. So 3045. I'm having a hard time visualizing this. You're gonna have to help me.
County traffic, Northern
Okay,
Jet
045 is
959,
northeast.
runway 27.
It's northeast. Okay. Well, that's. I know which way north is.
So that's at a 45 degree angle to the section line, or 45 degree angle to the runway. So that's pretty close. That's the compass stabilizer. Turn this around and go the other way.
Okay.
Alright, so that was kind of a trick question. Yeah, but that's what you may see on a trip ride.
Okay.
He'll give you a heading. The first thing you do is figure out what that is on the compass.
Okay.
Compared to what you are, and turn in the shortest direction to get there. If you turn towards the numbers on the floating compass, you'll be going the wrong way.
Oh.
So if I were to tell you to turn to a heading of 180, and you see south on the compass off to the right hand side, turn to the right towards the S.
Yeah, the numbers go in the opposite direction.
Yep.
Okay.
Pete loves to see that on the check.
959,
But if I tell you to turn south, and you know south is perpendicular to the runway,
Yes.
so just keep turning until you're perpendicular to the runway. Sneak a peek at the runway. Turn south. There you go. Close enough to refine.
Yeah, and then you've got the
And eventually you'll need to be able to explain acceleration error and dip error and all those other nonsense things.
Yes. All that happens on the check ride?
Yep.
Does the check ride take all day?
No. It's normally 3 flights.
Okay.
3 flights and about 2 hours of oil. So this orbit is out here. You don't want to be any closer than this to start a 45, so get us a little bit further away from the field.
Okay.
Note that there's hay bales down here on the field.
Traffic, glider 321 kilo, right 45 for 28 front row. Crew stall, flat if you don't have, undercarriage down to lock, speed. We're going for 55. I am trimming it for 55. And air brakes, we'll get those out. I'll lose just a little bit of altitude. Alright. Look out and landing, I don't see anything on the runway.
So here's an interesting thing that begins to happen. Because we have a lot of crosswind coming in from our right now. It's kind of quartering almost perpendicular crosswind to the runway. But because it's crosswind coming in from the right, it's pushing us to our left away from the runway. And so throughout this glide, listen to the flight instructor's vocal tones, because I believe that I was operating just on the cusp of his tolerance level for what he was comfortable with. And I wasn't doing the greatest job of giving myself a safety margin with the crosswind, because this was my first time really flying a landing pattern with a significant crosswind. So listen to the voice, listen to the vocal tones.
We're certainly not too close.
We're too close?
No, we're not too close.
Oh, we're not too close, okay. Terminal traffic glider 221 kilo, right base and final for 28 front line.
Turn. Closest word. Still getting shallow. On center line. Getting shallower. Nearing to the threshold.
Yes, sir.
Keep your airspeed up. Keep your airspeed. Nope, I haven't quite.
Now, right there, he probably saved us from getting into a PIO. So, way to go for the flight instructor listening to his gut and coming in to take over. This was definitely not my best landing. Definitely not my greatest job flying in the crosswind, and I feel pretty bad, like I messed up. So we're gonna do a debrief of this, but I'm feeling really anxious because I know I didn't do well.
I think I'm having a hard time judging how far above the ground I am. Probably having a hard time with a lot of things.
So here at this point, I know I didn't do the best, and I'm feeling really anxious because I could also hear how anxious he was in his voice, and hearing his anxiety makes me anxious, which then affects my performance, and it all becomes a convoluted, hairy process. But we'll debrief this, and I think he contains himself pretty well and then gives me some really good advice.
You ever been skiing?
Yes.
You remember the moment when all of a sudden, instead of being afraid of going down the hill, you look forward to going down the hill?
Yes.
It's the same thing here.
Okay.
The runway is your friend. Look forward to getting to the runway. Don't be afraid. You know the glider's going to respond, just like when you lean into a turn on skis. You don't have to worry about whether it will or not. It will. It will go where you point it. You just need to point it where it needs to go. And on a landing, that's close to the runway.
Okay.
Not into the runway.
But not, we'll see, that's, yeah.
Foot off the runway. That's what
Okay.
you look for.
Well,
And it will land itself. If you just hold it off from a foot, it will land itself. You don't ever have to worry about easing it onto the pavement.
okay.
If you just hold it off at a foot, the tail will touch. The main wheel, as long as you did it from low altitude, will be on the ground in about a half a second. And then it'll rock forward onto the nose. It's designed to roll on the nose wheel and the main wheel.
So, from your point of view, what did you see that I started to error on?
Started to stair step down when we got close to the runway.
Yes.
Instead of just welcoming yourself into the flare,
Welcome. I like that.
you seem to want to kind of level off and stair step your way down.
Yes. That's a good way of saying what I do.
Just think about making it nice and round.
Nice and round, okay.
And if you're at 4 feet, only be in a hurry to get to 2 feet. But don't settle for 4 feet.
Okay.
If you're at 2 feet, only be in a hurry to get it down to 1 foot. And then stay there. If you're at 20 feet, don't worry about rounding out at 1 foot. That's scary.
Okay.
But from 20 feet, look forward to being at 10 feet.
Okay. So I was kind of trying to round out too early. Almost. And yeah, so I've been told that I fly the glider into the runway. So I've been trying to figure out, okay, well, what does it look like to actually settle into the runway instead of just bringing it into the runway?
Go back and look at those videos in the syllabus.
Yes. Yeah, you're. I love watching the videos too, because you're so calm when you make your radio calls and everything. I can hear it in your voice. It's just like, oh, it's just a normal thing. And it's like, it's so smooth. And so I'm excited to get there one day.
You will.
But yeah, right now, definitely the ground is not what I'm looking forward to.
Well, learn to look forward to it.
You also helped me out when we were up there, when we were doing the turns. You told me to take a breath, because I didn't even realize how much I had stopped breathing because I was just focused on doing the turn. I really wish I had done this younger. It's like,
Oh, tell me. I take pottery lessons, and the young lady who's teaching the class she started teaching with less experience than I've had after 5 years of lessons. I mean, she's in her 20s.
Yeah.
She's really good. And I gotta think it came naturally to her, but a bunch of old farts in the class just don't pick it up nearly as fast.
Yes.
But the other day, we were centering, which takes a lot of pressure, and she kept telling me, don't forget to breathe.
Yes. Yep, I understand that now. Yep. I'm 36 now, and I can definitely tell the neuroplasticity isn't there like it used to be. You know, I gotta focus so much more and do things over and over and over more to build the new neurological networks.
When I took fencing lessons as a 65-year-old, kids picked it right up.
Yeah.
And I'd sit there and I'd come back all full of bruises, wondering if I would ever learn it.
And did you?
Eventually.
Good.
And then I snapped the quadricep tendon in the middle of the
Oh.
match. My fencing days are over.
Oh.
But that's
Yeah.
okay. I learned something new as an old fart
Yeah,
and got humbled in the process.
that's great. I feel the same way right now with gliding. But I am happy that I'm doing this, because it's been a lifelong dream ever since I was a kid, and I think I have the character and the fortitude to do it now. So
You'll do fine. Not everybody's cut out to do everything,
yeah.
but if you put your mind to this, you'll have it, no problem. Me trying to learn golf, on the other hand, is a hopeless cause.
Think so? Do you find it addicting at all?
I have absolutely no aptitude for anything that involves using a ball.
I don't understand how for some guys it gets addicting. I'm like, what's addicting about it? It's the little tiny ball you whack.
And then chase it around all day.
Yeah.
I wanted to keep that in there because I like this flight instructor, and he really helped me figure out what was going on as far as like welcoming the landing and figuring out what I was doing and trusting my instincts. After the error on the rope break, I had a lot of trouble trusting my instincts, and he really helped me get them back. So I was really appreciative of that. From a story perspective, you know, it's important for us to have guides who, when we're in our, you know, darker parts of the story, who come in and help us rise to the next level. And I wanted to include the debrief. I know it's a boring walk back and there's not a lot happening, but there was a lot happening in the relationship and in the walk, or in the talking. And I wanted to include that because it was really good, and he ends up being a guide who helps me get my instincts back later on in the story. And here I am, I'm taking off for my third flight of this day with a different flight instructor. We're still flying with the Crosswinds, so there we are, going kind of back and forth behind the tow plane as we're being pushed around by the wind.
Flying straight. Okay, now we can turn back.
So that turn back is if the rope accidentally broke, we could make a turn back to the runway, and I would want to turn left into the wind.
altitude, clear left, clear right. Alright, rope is away, begin my turn.
Yeah, so there's lift there.
Is that from a thermal or from ridge?
It's probably some of both.
Okay, some of both. So you think I should circle here?
Yeah, if it's from the ridge, you'd, yeah, so what I think's happening is the air's getting pushed up by the heat, but the wind is from the south and west, so yeah, I think it's mainly a thermal.
Oh, okay.
Out here.
Do you think it's a thermal?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know, it's windy, so they get torn up.
Oh, okay.
So it's
hard to tell.
It's hard to tell, and you want to fly like, you know, 48, but you're getting closer to the mountain, so that's not great.
Okay. I'll bring the nose back just a little bit, and then see like what happens with that.
There's a thermal. I'll take it for a little while.
Okay, your controls.
Okay, so I pull my trim back some.
Flaps, we don't have. Undercarriage, it's down and locked. Speed, gonna go for 60 and trim it for 60. Air brakes, I'll get them out when we need to lose altitude. Lookout, no one on the runway. Landing, I'll pick the second hash mark. Front roll traffic, ladder 321 kilo on right 45 for 28 front roll.
You can see the wind on the pond, and you can also check out the wind spot. Someone's doing something with 28 and they see us in sight. I don't see them.
I don't see them either. Front roll traffic, ladder 321 kilos downwind for 28 front roll. Traffic, ladder 221 kilos, right base for 28 front roll.
Sock is dead right now.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, until you're
A little high. Giving it the ye old crab.
the wind is kind of dead, so yeah, you don't need much crap when it's dead. The dive brakes will need it out a little bit, but also flutter forever. The windsock being dead, probably didn't need as much crap there going down.
So I did need that crab. He was paying attention to the windsock that was on the left of the runway up on a hill. But if you look at the windsock on the right, as we land, that's showing that there's a crosswind, and I had to put in a crab to get it to track down the center line. So from his perspective, he thought that there wasn't a crosswind, but from my perspective and all the inputs that I had to do, there was definitely a crosswind.
So did I not have the dive brakes out a lot?
Yeah, they weren't out a lot.
Okay.
They were like a quarter out when we were moving. If you're going too fast, they can be out. If you're going too slow, you can put them in.
So that landing was my best landing since the rope break incident that flooded me and overwhelmed me and made me really anxious, gave me a really bad experience of landings and rope breaks. And
Figure out where he has the rope.
that landing that I just did in the crosswind was helpful for me because I felt like I got back my instincts after the debrief I did with the first flight instructor in this video. It really helped me begin to trust my instincts again, to just think through like, yeah, I know what to do because I know what inputs I got to do to make the glider do what it's got to do to make it do what I want it to do. That was a whole lot, but you get the point. And this is a big part of the story, that the guide helped me overcome the big hairy monster that was, I needed to slay the dragon, if you will, the dragon of my own fear and anxiety and overthinking the landing process. And I'm really grateful for it. We all need people like that who will help us in our time of greatest need and will help us move on towards what we truly want and desire. So that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching and keep on gliding.